Hi friends, so today we are discussing up the latest AIIMS questions of November 18. So I've got all these questions from you only. So might be a lot of discrepancies will be there. Like this option was there, this option was not there. I'm not going into options and all. I will just discuss up the topics which are being asked, and it might prove helpful in the NEET exam also. Okay, and you will get an idea like how to relate to the things. So one of the questions was regarding this Nipah virus. I've already told up in many of my classes itself that Nipah will be asked. Okay, so this type of obviously this is not the picture which is being there, but this picture itself is suggesting what that this associates with some fruit bats, pigs are theirs, and it is transmitted to the humans by these all particular fellows. Okay, so first of all, in this particular one, what you need to remember is that Nipah virus is which particular family virus. Okay, first of all, you remember the Nipah virus belongs to Paramyxo. Okay, this particular one belongs to Paramyxo. Fine. So this one belongs to Paramyxoviridae, and the genus of it is Hanipa virus. Okay, the genus of this is Hanipa virus, and this Nipah was discovered up in the Malaysia first, and Nipah is a village in Malaysia as such. So remember from that, and why it has become so famous, because there was an sort of epidemic in the Kerala of this particular virus. Okay, the things to remember in this is what are the reservoirs of this particular one. The reservoirs of this particular one are fruit bats. Okay, you also call them as flying foxes. So they are fruit bats, and remember the you can say that amplifiers, they are pigs of it. Okay, and how does it transmits off? It transmits off with the help of the transmission of this particular one happens to be with a contact with the secretions. Okay, contact with the secretion of infected patients. This is one of the route by which this particular transmission can happen up of Nipah virus. Okay, other than that, what you need to remember here, it can be by drinking up contaminated drinks, or having drinking contaminated coconut sap. That particular one is one of the theories. Actually, a lot of theories have come in that why it have happened in Kerala. One of them theories is that they used to drink up some coconut saps, so that have contaminated with the secretions of fruit bats and all. Another thing which you need to remember is any contaminated food and all that will also transmit some of this Nipah stuff. Okay, so remember this particular one stuff, that it is a Paramyxoviridae genus Hanipa, discovered in Malaysia, and why it has become famous for India, because it was there in the Kerala, and it was a sort of epidemic only. And remember, nowadays you remember that we have discovered up the PCR for it, so PCR can discover diagnose it up. Other than that, what you need to remember here, that if you don't treat other patient, then the mortality rate is very high. It is above 70% here. Okay, and if somebody asks you that what is the incubation period and all, so remember that is 4 to 14 days round off. That is what is the incubation period of this particular Nipah virus. Fine. Other than that, there was a question regarding the isolation period of measles. Okay, so isolation period of measles, that was a question, and the options which I have got is that isolation option which was given uh, to me was this particular one, that in measles you just isolate it from the prodromal phase. Okay, you isolate it from the onset, in fact onset of prodromal stage, okay, to the third day of rash. Okay, to the third day of rash, this particular is recommended isolation in the case of measles. Okay, so this is one of the questions which have come, and I suppose this is only what have come, that how much is the isolation stuff. So this is there, and obviously you know the measles is highly contagious, and it is also being said that the person infectivity period is 4 days before the rash and 5 days after the rash. 5 days after the rash. This particular time period is the infectivity period. Okay, this is the infectivity period of this particular fellow. Okay, and for how much you have to isolate up from the onset of prodromal stage to the third day of rash. That also need to remember. In this, the thing which I am thinking of, which will come in NEET exam also, that is this particular intranuclear and intracytoplasmic inclusion bodies. This question will come, and what is the name of this? The name of this is Warthin Finkelday cells. Okay, Warthin Finkelday cells, and this question can definitely come. Okay, so intranuclear as well as intracytoplasmic inclusion bodies, they are the features of this particular measles, and this I think might be a question of NEET exam also. Fine, so remember this particular thing also. And if you want a more thing regarding the measles, remember there are, if somebody talks about the genotypes and all that stuff also by chance, so remember in India the B3 genotype is the most common. B3 genotype of this particular measles virus is the most common in India. Okay, so remember this particular thing also regarding the measles. Measles is important. Definitely the questions will be coming regarding measles. So you need to remember up a lot of things regarding measles stuff. Okay, what is the other name of measles? That can also be there. So remember that is rubeola virus. What is that? The other name is rubeola virus is the other name of measles. And remember one thing more, that what is the pathognomic feature of it? The answer is complex spot, and where they found opposite the lower second molar. Fine. So all these things you need to remember. And what is the incubation period of this measles? The incubation period is around 10 to 14 days. Remember this particular one. The incubation period of measles is around 10 to 14 days. Okay. The fever comes after the infection on the 10th day, and then the complex spot on the 12th, and then the rash comes on the 14th. So like this is a sequence. Firstly the fever on 10th, then the complex spot 12th, and the rash on the 14th day. Okay, so this is regarding the measles, what you need to remember. Okay, now this question was there, that oyster poisoning is there, and the time period given, I suppose, of this particular one is more than 16 hours. That particular one was there of this food poisoning, that some persons have eaten up something like oysters and all in a party, and they have developed the food poisoning stuff. Okay, so remember guys, more than 16 hours, as per the choices being given, I suppose the answer is this particular one, that is Vibrio parahemolyticus. Okay, which associates with what? Which associates with seafood poisoning. Okay, which associates with what? Which associates with seafood poisoning. So this also you need to remember, that more than 16 hours you should think for this fellow, that is Vibrio parahemolyticus, and it associates with this particular seafood poisoning. Other than that, what comes up in the infectious agents of food poisoning more than 16 hours, if somebody asks you, then remember in this what comes more than 16 hours if that particular thing is there. So remember in this, the Vibrio cholerae, that can come in this particular time period. Okay, enterotoxigenic E. coli. Toxigenic, you know, na, traveler's diarrhea, it does. So enterotoxigenic E. coli. This you need to remember here. Okay. Other than that, what you need to remember is regarding the enterohemorrhagic E. coli. Enterohemorrhagic E. coli, that can also go more than 16 hours. Along with that, Salmonella, that is there, Salmonella. Okay. Shigella, in fact, Campylobacter, all this they can relate up after 16 hours in the food poisoning. Okay. So remember in them, these all things you need to remember when the things comes more than 16 hours. And what about your favorite 1 to 6 hours? That you know, that is Staph aureus and Bacillus cereus. That you need to remember. And 8 to 16 hours, if somebody asks you, in this 8 to 16 hours time period, if somebody asks you, then remember in 8 to 16 hours, you need to remember Clostridium perfringens. Okay. And what is the other name of this perfringens? That is Clostridium vulci. Fine. Along with that, you can remember up that Bacillus cereus, that other one, that is 8 to 16. That is a feature of which one? Bacillus cereus diarrheal strain. Okay. And what about the hematic one? The hematic one is same as Staph aureus. So that you know already. Okay. So 1 to 6 hours, 8 to 16 is this. And 1 to 6 hours is how much? That is the Staph aureus. Okay. And Bacillus cereus hematic strain. Bacillus cereus hematic strain. And what about this particular fellow, Bacillus cereus hematic one? After eating of what? The answer is Chinese fried rice. Okay, so this you can't forget. So this associates with this Chinese fried rice. So as per the question which have come to me, the answer is Vibrio parahemolyticus and associates with this oysters, because oysters is seafood. So that associates with this Vibrio parahemolyticus stuff, and that is what is the answer of that question. Fine. Other than that, I suppose some questions have come regarding this particular stuff. That is this particular one is there. That is, let me put up a slide first in between. Okay, so some question have come regarding the leukocyte stuff. Okay, that fecal leukocytes are seen along with mucus and all. Okay, the fecal leukocytes along with mucus, that particular thing have come which are seeing up in the question. So remember, if these fecal leukocytes are coming up, one thing is for sure, that this is inflammatory form of diarrhea. Okay, an inflammatory form of diarrhea associates with what? All these three fellows, three devs. What is that? Shigella, Salmonella, and Campylobacter. They are there in that particular one. Other than that, I suppose the options were regarding the Antimum histolytica, or like I suppose the option is Clostridium perfringens, and some other options were there, and I suppose the answer is Antamoeba histolytica. On those particular options which were there, the best answer to go for this particular one is Antamoeba histolytica. So remember this particular one, that this one is one of the parasites which relates up with this particular stuff, that there will be a leukocytes, and along with that you might get up this particular one, that is the pus that is the leukocytes along with it mucus and all. Fine. So this might be the answer there, that is the Antamoeba histolytica in that particular diarrheal one. Fine. Other than that, somebody was telling that there was some video, and that particular video is having the I don't know that what it is having in the explanation and stuff, that it shows pathogenetic property and all that stuff. So obviously that video is there. So that is the replidiform larvae of Strongyloids turcularis. And some points regarding Strongyloids turcularis, what you need to remember is that this particular fellow is a ovoviviparous. What it is? It is ovoviviparous. Fine. You will never see the egg of Strongyloids turcularis. You will always see the larvae, and obviously which larvae? Replidiform larvae firstly will be formed up, and that will be seen. This particular one have a strong association with what? It have a strong association with HIV positivity. Strongyloids turcularis have a strong association with what? HIV positivity, and it shows a unique type of development that is termed as parthenogenetic development. It shows a unique type of development, and that particular development is termed as what? Parthenogenetic development. What is that? The females directly lay the eggs without the males. And if you want to add up to this particular one, you can add up one more point here, that larvae currents, this particular one, this is the unique type of cutaneous larvae migrants which associates with Strongyloids stercularis. Okay, this is cutaneous larvae migrants, and this is termed as what? Larvae currents here. Is it fine? So remember this particular thing also. Okay. Other than that, you remember